Okay, so let's go find the video from Max. We're gonna just watch that really quick. Your silence will not protect you.
On November 26th,
it's honestly pretty effective.
My good friend Max published a video exposing the colossal pedo ring that is IMVU, where he uncovered one particularly inveterate child predator known in-game as Pablo Sunny, a pedophile with an extensive history of grooming multiple teenage girls.
Oh yeah, no, it's... So Linsidious here saying, weird how I can access animal abuse videos, but not his pedophilia hunting. My comment here is not to play devil's advocate, because I think both are wrong. And I don't think it's like one of those things like, well, you allow this, so why not that? I don't think it's that they allow certain things. It's that, for example, the animal hunting or the animal abuse videos, that was a really weird situation too, because it's hard to establish that's exactly what's going on, because a bunch of YouTube creators, especially Nick, made very convincing arguments that they were in fact being abused, like they were being put into dangerous situations so that they could be rescued. And any person with a brain could see that's what was going on. But I feel like I wonder if at YouTube, they were looking at stuff like that going, we can't tell for sure, like it looks convincing, but we can't tell for sure what's going on. And so they weren't really, they were just kind of paralyzed, I think. I don't know. I'm not trying to give them the benefit of the doubt at all. I know it sounds like it, but I'm just kind of wondering out loud if that's possibly what was going on behind the scenes. If that's the case, I obviously don't agree with it, but stuff like the pedo hunting and stuff like that, because it is straight up vigilantism, and because things haven't gone through court, proven in a court of law, things like that, I think YouTube is more, we don't want to be a part of that just because it's messy. Because there's people like Max who are really good at what they do, and they will find people with proof and all that. But for every person that's good at what they do, there's probably some idiot that isn't as thorough as somebody like Max. I'm glad it's started to kind of get somewhat better. It sounds like YouTube is doing a little bit to start combating it in a way, but at the same time, like, how do you, because it's such a widespread problem, how do you, because they're so algorithmically driven, they're probably trying to figure out a way to algorithmically detect if something is animal abuse or not. And with stuff like Max's video, when his stuff gets taken down, they just don't want it up, period. But because there's no community guidelines, rules on this kind of stuff not being allowed, they're going to try and find everything possible in an effort to take it down and give a different reason. So best reasoning I can come up with why they're like this. I obviously don't agree with it. I think it should stay up. But I do think there should be accountability for when people, let's say they went after somebody that, you know, was innocent or something, because that's the last thing anybody wants. Like, that could ruin somebody's life if some big YouTuber ruins somebody's life like that. That's obviously not the case with Max's last video. Max is very thorough about what he does. He brings receipts, and there's zero doubt in my mind that these people are guilty of what he's accusing them of. Honestly, Max, I don't think Max has much faith in the judicial system. Same as me. I honestly don't. We've called the FBI on Stormy a few times, and that's a whole video on my channel. And we've called CPS, we've called law enforcement, both federal and local, and it's never gone anywhere. So at what point do you just lose faith in the proper channels? When the proper channels fail you and they allow absolute evil to continue. And so when you are allowing literal children to be abused by people with no consequence, something's got to be done. And when the proper channels have failed and refuse to change and refuse to adopt things that will implement change, and there are people that are just doing their job for them, people look down on people that take the law into their own hands. They wouldn't do it if, in this case, I know with Max anyway, they wouldn't have to do it if the proper channels, the proper authorities would just do their fucking job. Anyway.
And to no one's surprise, YouTube tore it down like none of it ever happened. The fickle thing about it, though, is that the video was cut and censored in accordance with community guidelines, manually reviewed by your staff in order for the family-friendly shell that remained to be available on your platform, even if age-restricted. I myself have personally seen the entire video, and there is not one timestamp you can find that does anything even remotely illicit, especially compared to the categorical obscenities that already plague YouTube. And for what? Because of the bare ass of a virtual character. Is this a joke? Max documenting this formally.
So, why is the lo-fi girl on? So I saw somebody react to this video and they had just this black and white sort of, well, it's obviously against their nudity policy, blah, blah, blah. And they took the corporate YouTube side on it, which I was like screaming at my phone screen at that point, because there is, and he even shows examples here in the video that YouTube obviously allows things like that, especially if it's a video game. YouTube is pretty lax on video game nudity. Even Twitch is lax on video game nudity. I could play Cyberpunk 2077 right now, which has in-game nudity in it. And as long as it's not like the focus of the stream, they're not going to do much about it, really. They're really not. And honestly, if you want to start making the argument, bare buttocks is nudity on a very technical, semantic way, sure, you could make that argument, but what they are really trying to keep out of YouTube is nudity that is defined by like the MPAA, which, let's look up the MPAA's definition of nudity if they've got it here. MPAA definition of nudity. And I don't know for sure that they go with the MPAA rules, but because they're an entertainment platform, I feel like it's reasonable to go with, okay, hold on. What nudity is allowed? MPAA. Motion picture. So nudity is restricted to PG and above. So they say partial or graphic nudity, rating nudity, interview. Oh, this is interesting. It's only a 30-second clip too. So this is actually the MPAA themselves talking about rating nudity.
So among those descriptors, one of the things that I've seen is male nudity. Why is that defined differently than the just broad category of nudity in a film?
We actually don't usually define it as male or female. It was the fact in one descriptor that the filmmaker, when we said we were going to mention nudity, they asked that it be identified as male because they didn't want the wrong impression of whatever female nudity would bring them. But usually we just mention partial nudity. Graphic nudity means full frontal.
Full frontal.
Male or female, so we usually don't differentiate.
So full frontal is what they define as graphic nudity. So let's look up YouTube's terms of service here. Explicit content meant to be sexually gratifying is not allowed on YouTube. Posting pornography, obvious. If you find content, blah, blah, blah. Sexually explicit content featuring minors and content that sexually exploits minors is not allowed on YouTube. So depictions of, okay, so don't post content on YouTube if it has any of the items below. Explicit content featuring the below policy violations could result in channel termination. Depiction of genitals, breast, or buttocks, clothed or unclothed, for the purpose of sexual gratification. So that's some important wordage there. I don't agree with the buttocks part being included in this right here, because butt being exposed, clothed or unclothed, that's literally, if you have a butt anywhere, this is the most vague terminology I've ever heard, honestly. If you have a butt in there and it's clothed or unclothed for the purpose of sexual gratification, that's against their policy. So just a real quick search. Let's see here. Look at all these twerking videos. These are partially clothed butts. Look at that. Look at that. This is all 6.4 million views, 208 million views. This is an example of YouTube not following their own policy guidelines and being selective about it, which makes you wonder, what is the real reason why they are selecting certain creators? if they obviously don't care about their own rules and they're using their rules as a weapon rather than a shield, because there's a huge difference. If you have rules, it's supposed to shield the community from certain types of content. And obviously it's not being used as a shield. It's being used as a sword to surgically attack specific creators who are damaging the bottom line of YouTube. But they don't make that clear. So it's just not gonna fly. So this is once again the problem is that YouTube has lost so much credibility in terms of its ability to say anything and have it heard by people and believed. It's so inconsistent and full of so much corporate doublespeak that it's just unbelievable. You cannot believe what they are actually telling you when they try and say anything about anything. So let's keep going on this video here. I've had a lot to say so far. We're only literally a minute into the video here.
And for what? Because of the bare ass of a virtual character.
And it's a video game, which is allowed.
Max documenting this formerly unknown behavior.
And it's not, I would argue that is not meant for sexual gratification of the viewer.
In a 90-minute documentary about the horrors of pedophilia and child sex.
And you know what? Markiplier made a really good point. The last time when we had that Answer Us YouTube hashtag going on, Markiplier had a really good point. If there is a problem, use the tools that you created to solve the problem. Instead of allowing him a 24-hour window to blur out the specific part that was the offensive content, they just take the video down and give him a strike on a very ambiguous interpretation of the content policies. So why would they allow some type of content and not in others? And then when there's a problem, why wouldn't you just allow the creator to use the tools you created to solve the problem, or trim it out or blur it or anything? And if they don't comply, use it yourself. Videos should never be taken down by an algorithm. We work too hard on our content, and for them to treat the content we work on so hard, so callously, it's not going to fly. We need way more human beings. And I've heard YouTube is one of those companies that doesn't pull as much of a profit or something like that. And sometimes they run into the negative. I don't really believe that. I'll be honest. I really don't believe that. Because their parent company, Google, it's maybe if they don't make as much money directly off ads, even if that was true, they wouldn't be running it if that was the case, right? Why would they be running it for decades if it was losing money all the time? It just doesn't make sense. So I don't believe that. But if I were to believe that, it's obviously a valuable property that feeds into the rest of Google's products and services. So while it by itself under a microscope may not make money, it does, as it is part of the ecosystem that does make money. Yeah, that's another option right there, Linsidious. Yeah. Yeah, good idea, sure. Title, good call. Yeah, so even after you comb over your content and try to make it so it's within the guidelines, you just never know if YouTube will take it down or not. It really is a roll of the dice every single time. And your video could be up for years before something finds a problem. It's just unbelievable. Soul Twins here saying, wait, exactly. If a clothed set of buttocks, it's a problem, then half the music videos on YouTube should be gone by now. Exactly the point we were just making when we pulled up, literally just searching twerking on YouTube. How is this not meant to be sexually gratifying? Even just this thumbnail. There is a video tag for 18 and up. You can set your content as 18 and up, but what it does is videos just get straight up suppressed. And that's what I argue against, is suppression of videos.
How many bloody times do we have to do this fuck with us? We fuck with you, and history repeats itself. Whether it's intentional or not, You endlessly punish those of us who create content in response to injustice, speaking up for victims like children and pursuing the perpetrators like pedophiles. It is volatile.
I wouldn't have nearly as big of a problem if YouTube actually actively pursued this problem that's on the platform. But Jamie brings up a really good point later on in the video about toxic positivity and how YouTube just tries to make everything sunshine and rainbows, is like there's nothing wrong, you know?
Intense, disturbing, upsetting, raw, and real. Because that is the subject matter it is covering, and that is the way it should be covered. As my audience, many of whom are CSA survivors, have instructed me to do. But no matter how vital the video may be to them, you take down our shit and continue to help absolutely no one besides the evil people we are trying to expose.
And all of this came out after the whole legislators trying to score points with the evangelicals tried to, when they introduced COPPA. Honestly, that needs to be repealed. I think if we really want to do some activism, we need to make sure that the other side of the voice, that the voices of the other side are heard. Because what YouTube did with this adpocalypse and all that, and COPPA and all that, was they went too hard after creators. And they implemented permanent changes to alleviate pressure from a very temporary source. Outrage only lasts a certain amount of time. We're going to be moving on from even this topic probably within the next week or so. So we only have this critical time right now when shit hits the fan like this to really discuss this, really get some action going. I'm starting to think, is there a way we can start something where it's really effective? Where instead of going, I wonder if going after YouTube is the right call at this point, because YouTube as a corporate entity, first of all, Susan Wojcicki needs to go. She just needs to fucking go. She's the worst goddamn CEO. She needs to go. But we also need to make sure that legislators and lawmakers understand that video sharing platforms like YouTube are a little more complex than the simplistic evangelical Karens want to make it out to be. If your child is finding content that's not appropriate for them, that's on you, the parent, not on YouTube. That's like going after Cinemax because your child got up out of bed one night and decided to start watching TV. At what point do the parents need to take responsibility instead of the content creators?
And the survivors continue to scream in agonizing silence. But maybe that's the way you like it.
Honestly, so James here is saying, Just Chaos Penguin, hard to say, Jim. Who else could we direct our efforts to? The government is full of people that just don't understand. That's true. That's very true. What I really feel like we need is like a lobbying effort from creators. We've talked so many times and it never goes anywhere about creators unionizing, and I would be all for it. I really wish we could get into a union where, I don't know, 1%, less than maybe 1% of your earnings from YouTube, like your ad rev from YouTube, goes to, from all monetized channels, goes to a union of some sort that would be made up of creators that have a realistic voice on what is good for the platform and us as creators, because there are things that are good rules. I agree that porn should not be on YouTube. I agree that there are certain things that should be age restricted. I agree that there are probably certain videos that advertisers probably don't want to show ads on, but on the same token, I don't think anybody's ever really had an issue where they've watched a YouTube video, saw an ad, like an auto-generated ad from YouTube for a shaving company like Manscaped, and thought Manscaped endorsed the video. That's not at all. I think people are far more intelligent than to think that. Y'all need to get Mr. Beast on this shit somehow. He has a big voice on YouTube. Like, the thing is, people offer things like that. I got an email just last night. You should reach out to PewDiePie. You should reach out to Mr. Beast. Like, these are huge people. It's not just because I'm a YouTube creator doesn't mean I have access to other YouTube creators. That's something you really got to network into. And the bigger the creator, the harder and harder it is to network into that creator's circle. And honestly, it's when a smaller creator reaches out to a bigger creator, there's always that element of, okay, what do you really want from me? Is this kind of a ploy? You're trying to like promote yourself by being friends with me? That's not how I operate, but there are enough people out there that's kind of in the back of everybody's mind, myself included, to be honest. When smaller creators reach out to me and they want to talk, I'm just counting down the number of messages until they ask for, hey, can we collab? As in, can I be on your channel? And it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of the situation. And so YouTubers, it's hard to get YouTubers to work together on anything. But I really do feel like if we had a proper union, if we got enough going where 1% of the ad rev from monetized channels goes to this union that lobbies on our behalf to both lawmakers and to YouTube corporate on our behalf with realistic expectations and realistic solutions that would benefit everybody, I think that would go a long way. I made a video back in the day. Let me open it up here. Back when the Answer Us YouTube thing was going on, that I still stand by, and I came up with a document with a 3-tiered solution that I still stand by. I still think it's a viable, here we go, Google Docs link to, this is a viable plan here. Let me talk about my plan here. And honestly, I wish I had more friends that would listen to me, because even when I came out with this, there weren't a whole lot of, I didn't get a whole lot of support from other creators. Everybody seemed to agree that it was a good plan, but people don't like putting their names down on something. And that's really what it was. Everybody was like afraid. So hashtag Answer Us YouTube, a formal request for specific policy and practice changes on the YouTube platform. We, the undersigned members of the YouTube Partner Program, humbly and respectfully submit to YouTube these proposed changes to the YouTube platform. This 3-tiered proposal constitutes changes that we feel are both necessary and reasonable, taking into account that YouTube is a platform designed as a profit-driven institution that we believe will enhance the experience of everyone from the YouTube employees to us as creators, advertisers, and the viewership that comes to this platform for the content that we produce. The 3 tiers are as follows: true transparency and equity, not just lip service; open human communication; and good faith collaboration with YouTube on building the platform. So let me talk about this really quick here. So true transparency and equity, not just lip service. The bullet points are as follows. We need a far more detailed and specific guide on expectations regarding monetization and demonetization of content. Relax the demonetization process in an effort to seek more opportunities to monetize content rather than demonetize. As YouTube seeks to compete with television networks, as they clearly are, they should adopt a more progressive rather than conservative approach to what kind of videos receive advertisements, taking into account that television studios rarely have issues with ads on very unsettling content. The average viewer does not correlate creator content as being endorsed by a particular advertiser, which is the point I made earlier. In an instance where a video is removed, there needs to be much more stringent methodology where a video is removed entirely. Do not allow AI alone to remove content ever. The content creators put on the platform constitutes a tremendous amount of effort and energy, and in the rare case that a video is removed, our content deserves the respect of that decision being made by a human being, not a flawed string of code prone to false positives and other errors. If the content is especially egregious, put it into a forced unlisted or private mode, pending a secondary check by someone else, another human team member at YouTube. Allow us to trim the offending part of the video out using the tools that Markiplier discussed. If we don't, do it for us within a given time frame. Any video that gets taken down needs a detailed explanation with timestamps, similar to when a copyright claim is made. When a policy is enforced, there needs to be a good faith effort to enforce it evenly across the platform. So just like the example we talked about with the bare ass versus the twerking videos and all that kind of stuff, we're not living in the same universe, YouTube. Open human communication, the second tier. If there is a video removal required, this should not be done automatically by AI, but by a human being who issues a removal order that is further reviewed by a secondary check to ensure that it truly requires removal. In the case of especially egregious content that should be removed from the platform immediately, an acceptable practice could be to put the video into a forced private mode pending human review to confirm that the content should be removed. Allow creators to use the trim tool already provided to remove the offending parts, and if the creator is unresponsive or refuses, use the trim tool for them to remove the offending content. Any removal or request for removal should include a detailed, human-typed report given to the creator with timestamps of the problem areas and an explanation of how the video violates the community guidelines. This is to ensure that the policy is well understood by the creator, along with the platform's interpretation of their own policy to mitigate further repeat violations, which will lower the workload of everyone in the long run. Third tier, good faith collaboration with YouTube on building the platform. And this is the biggest one that I proposed, that I strongly feel this is similar to a YouTuber union. We advocate for a formal creator ambassador program where creators in good standing have the opportunity to take part in quarterly town hall style meetings, whether in person or over a conference call or Zoom meeting, etc., where creators can ask questions, give the unique feedback creators have in regards to challenges they face, and both YouTube and the creators can seek guidance, feedback, and perspective from one another. And remind me to come back to that point where instead of a town hall, they just speak at us through the YouTube creators channel. Ambassadors should be selected from a wide variety of categories, audience sizes, and regions, as each face unique challenges and situations that represent different perspectives. Someone in the commentary community has a different perspective from someone in the documentary community, and someone with 50,000 subscribers faces different obstacles and challenges than someone with 10 million subscribers. The goal of this is so that YouTube and its creators can come together in a constructive and collaborative environment to make this platform a better place for everyone. This petition is a good faith effort from creators to persuade YouTube and Google to implement reasonable changes to make this platform better for everyone involved. Seek more input from creators. We are the innovators. All of us have a proven track record that we know how to get people behind us and recognize problems and find solutions. Respectfully, the undersigned members of the YouTube Partner Program. And my goal was to get 10,000 signatures from viewers and 100 signatures from creators. I didn't get nearly that. I got myself, Loey, Lane, Some Ordinary Gamers, Blame It on Jorge, Mr. Davis, Nbird, Nexpo, Mama Max, Eudoxia Mysteries, John Swan, Manga Common, Nathan Barnett and Dad, Mouthy Buddha. I think a few other people signed as well. Let me drag this over here and I'll get back to chat here in just a second. I'm sorry, guys. I know that took a while to read through. It was in the Answer Us YouTube thing. Okay, so here's the survey results. Okay, it looks like I got John Swan, Manga Common, Nathan Barnett, and Dad. And Time6 was the only other creator that actually signed it. So it didn't really go anywhere because honestly, at the time I was really small. I've never really had much pull. It's been really unfortunate, honestly. I would love to resurrect this document, but I really do believe in a creator union. Us creators are not, we're specialized in what we do, which is create content. We're not specialized in creating a union. It's just, anyway, I will tell you what, guys, if we've got more viewers than normal in here right now, do you guys feel that proposal that I came up with is both reasonable and realistic? I feel like it is, but what do you guys think? I genuinely want to know your opinions, and I'm not going to come after you and all that if you think that it's not. So I'm thinking this is a good opportunity, I think, to possibly resurrect this. So I'm going to tweet all of this here. Let me just read it out really quick here. We need a creator ambassadorship to combat issues. PickASideYouTube. I stand by this 3-tiered proposal that I outlined in an old video, but I didn't have much sway at the time, so I'm going to try again. Please watch this video and then sign the petition. Original goal was to get 10K signatures on the petition and 100 signatures from partnered YouTube creators. Link to the original petition here. Link to survey for partnered creators to add their name as signatories of the document. Cool. I would love for anybody who's in chat watching this right now to do me a solid and retweet this tweet. And that's another awkward thing about this is people see stuff like this and they think it's just a cynical move for self-promotion. And I worry that because I was a smaller creator when I did this the first time, that might have been how it came across. You guys have no idea like how tough it is to do this. It's not, I mean, every video is literally a roll of the dice. And let me show you something here. I just put out a video that I'm incredibly proud of. Every single video that I have put out for the last 6 months has performed worse than every other video that I'd released before that. And it keeps getting worse. Let me show you something here. Channel analytics here. So I hit 100,000 subscribers in June and it's December. My progression as a creator completely plateaued. I'll show you guys exactly what I make on YouTube here and why it's so stressful. My estimated revenue, $246. I'm going to make $200. And I hope my content kind of speaks for itself, how hard I work on it. So I make about $200 a month on ad revenue, and I make about $500 a month on Patreon. And sometimes I'll get a sponsor. And the last few sponsors have been pretty good to me. I'll make about $1,000. But when it takes a few months to create a video, add it up yourselves. There's really no other revenue stream for me as a creator. There is a merch shelf. The last check that I got from Pixel Empire, who runs my merch, was $3. Before a month before that, I think it was $2. So I don't make much off merch. And the reason I'm showing you this and why it hurts so bad is because I have literally sacrificed everything for this. I really feel like this is my calling, that getting to create something that I believe in so much and all that, and then to have it just completely fail. And my channel is dying. My channel is straight up dying because nobody's watching my videos anymore, because even though the click-through rates are good, like I'll get great click-through rates, but YouTube refuses to show impressions of the videos. To show you what I mean. Okay, so take a look at this. This is my last 10 videos. My most recent video, The Dark Side of North Korea's Founder, is number 10. 10 out of 10. Let me shrink my camera so you can see this list here. This is how bad it is right now. Let me blow this up a little bit here too, so you can kind of see it. In fact, I'll just turn my camera off for a second here. So here's the last videos that in the time frame of the first 1 day and 22 hours since they were released. My most recent video performed the worst out of the last 10 videos that I've come out with. Let's see if I can make this even bigger here. So Dark Side of North Korea, 7.4K. I've only 7,500 people have seen that video. Why is this ancient lake full of humans? Did about 10,000. Beast of Jevedon did about 10,000. First Ghosts did about 11,000. The Hum Part 2, 11.7 thousand. And you'll notice these are all the most recent videos that I've put out, with the exception of the kidnapping of Salem Sabatka and this video can physically attack you, which that's kind of an irresistible title, right? But people just don't know when I upload. I get comments all the time that they had no idea that I had a new video out. They had no idea. And when I look at my analytics, my reach is now at about 4%. Let's look at the last 365 days here. So my click-through rate here, it'll kind of fluctuate. It's kind of around there. It's a pretty consistent click-through rate, and you can see it spikes whenever I have a new video. I'll get as high as about 8.5% of impressions lead to somebody watching a video. But look at my impressions here. It's just like, it'll spike a little bit, and then, but you'll notice that these spikes are wider about a year ago, and then all of a sudden they start becoming less and less. Like I'll get a spike of impressions for a day, and then it's just nothing after that. And then with the last few videos that I've done, I'll get even less impressions. So I would get more impressions for longer a year ago, and now I get fewer impressions for a shorter amount of time. So it's devastating, absolutely devastating. And I am having to make the most heartbreaking, I'm having to have the most heartbreaking discussion ever in my brain, where I am now having to face the reality that as badly as I want this, and as hard as I've worked to get to where I'm at, can I continue? At what point do I have to just give up and go get a 9-to-5 like I used to have? At what point do I have to make that? I have to survive. Like I have children. And the only reason I'm really actually eating right now was because my fucking house caught fire. And I got really lucky that I got an insurance check that instead of paying to have my house repaired, I've been using it to eat and to get clothes and to get stuff that will help me with making my channel what it is, like to the tools that I need to make it happen. This is just me being absolutely real with you guys. I don't know how much longer I can do this. I don't have enough support on something like Patreon to make it worth my while. I don't have enough views for people to even know that I exist so that they could join something like that. But this is my dream. This is what I've always felt like I could do. This is the only thing I've ever done in my life where all these weird hobbies and things all coalesce into this wonderful mixture where I get to do all these different creative things and have one complete package each time that I put literally my entire heart and soul into. You guys that have watched my streams where I'm actually editing and making the videos and making the music for these videos, you guys have seen firsthand how meticulous I am with each detail, with trying to make these the best that I possibly can. So, sir, how are you?
Hey, yeah, your conversation is, I'm like, oh, is Jim reading my brain?
Yeah.
That's like, honestly, I was very close. Trust me, I feel everything you're saying. Like on that last stream when like my wife got hit with a huge dental bill, we couldn't afford it. She works at a school and makes, no money. She makes $17 an hour working at a school, that's a whole different conversation. She's taking care of people's children. She works at a rich private school and only makes $17 an hour. Yeah, like we got hit with that large dental bill, and if it wasn't for everybody's extreme generosity,
I remember that when
getting a job at like Burger King or something, because I was like,
I have legitimately looked at like gas stations and stuff when I like it's part-time. I could probably just do something part-time and just at least make just a tiny bit of money just so I can eat.
Yeah, for real. And like I saw you looking at your analytics. Even a smaller channel like me, I used to get not huge views, but I'd put up like a dumb comedy skit, and the video would get 5,000 views, 10,000 views, or whatever. But since I've done this, I feel it's still supposed to be funny, but I'm doing the Tinfoil Tom videos.
Yeah,
and
originally brought people to you.
That's what brought more people to my channel than I've ever had, and I'm getting people are unsubscribing and I'm getting less views. Like I've done a bunch of collabs with you. I've done collabs with Dad. I've done collabs with Nexpo. I've done collabs with Jamie. And every time I do a collab, I get less views on the video, which is, I'm like, wait a second. I just did a collab with Jamie or whatever, and now this video has less views. And I looked at my ad revenue. I made $2.80. It's crazy. Something has to be done about YouTube. It's not the way that it was, but
it really isn't. Yeah, I really think something happened in the last 6 months specifically, which is why. Yeah, guys, thank you so much. Seriously,
Penguin.
Yeah,
Holy
James,
crap,
thank you so much.
3. You're almost on level 4.
Holy shit! Wow.
Holy cow.
But people get like really mad. So I get so much hate for people whenever I advertise my Patreon. It's okay. They're like, if you're good, they'll come and find you. You shouldn't be advertising, blah blah blah. Like you're not allowed to.
It just doesn't work. YouTube doesn't work that way. And like the internet, like you unfortunately, it's people like don't find you a lot of the time. So.
Yeah. Where's your Discord link?
I don't have it on there, but I can I could probably just pop it in the chat.
Yeah, pop it in the chat. I'm gonna copy and paste it.
All right, hold on one second. But I do stream on Twitch.
James, thank you so much.
I stream on Twitch. I make YouTube videos. I do all that stuff. For anybody who doesn't know who I am, Jim has been in a few of my videos. He's done stuff with Nathan, who's Dad. And for anybody else who doesn't know me, I wrote some of the episodes on the main Dad story, Acts 1 through 3. I wrote some of those episodes. And
those were some good ones too. Yeah. Dude, honestly, so there was that one where you guys were in the mountains and you filmed in this super wide angle and uploaded it that way with that aspect ratio. And that was one of the most beautiful YouTube videos I've ever seen in terms of like how it was filmed and all that kind of stuff. Like it was just such a good.
That was that could also be attributed. So Nathan, I don't know if he makes a few small cameos in it. It's Nathan's friend Aaron Meister. He's a DP out of Los Angeles, and he filmed a lot of all the really good-looking stuff on the Dad series. It was all Aaron. His name's Aaron Meister. He's a DP. He shoots movies. He shoots commercials, all that stuff. But he also filmed the bigger stuff for Dad. He shot that on a red, so. That's why it probably looks.
It looks really damn good, yeah.
But he's a professional DP. Like he works on Hollywood productions, so it looks good.
Well, honestly, a lot of that, it's people like to say stuff like, "Oh, it's not about the equipment and stuff," but it kind of is sometimes. But you guys, I'm sure you shot it with some kind of log format and had some really good control over your blacks and your whites and all of your color ranges and all that kind of stuff, which on my little Sony A6300, I'm doing my best. That's what, for a time, I was actually trying to save up for a new camera that I could use that would actually look better than the one that I'm using now. But like, I had to kind of be realistic. I was like, okay, first I need other stuff before I can get to that point.
That stuff gets expensive. I know that
it does.
So Aaron shot a lot of the stuff on a red, and then the stuff that Nathan shot himself, he shot on a Blackmagic.
Oh wow, yeah.
So he owns a Blackmagic. So the better looking stuff that Aaron did not shoot, that was shot on a Blackmagic.
By the way, I'm going to share my screen with you because we're going to continue watching this. We're going to continue watching the Mama Max video here. Let me know if you can hear this or not.
Especially when people need to see this content.
If there's something that the internet has shown us time and time again in regards to independent investigations,
can I hear
the
it?
average person.
I can see the screen, but I can't.
You can see. Okay, so let me do this. Let me switch to the application. PickASideYouTube. Here we go. All right, so now it should, right?
Yeah. Now
okay. Yeah, we never really did get that far into the video, but honestly, a lot of it was just because I had so much I needed to get off my chest at the very beginning, where I'm sure I'll probably find some sort of monologue to get into, but it'll probably be less wordy. Thank you, dude. You're the best, dude. I really appreciate you, man.
I can't, even though you're not actually Scottish.
All right, let's keep going here. So this is the part where he actually starts talking to some other YouTubers and all that. And this first guy, this is the first guy that he talks to here, is the one that really got me going on that tirade, where I was just letting you guys know like how discouraging YouTube can be when they are actively working against you, where they basically spite you. YouTube sends out a creator survey, and it was hysterical, honestly, because they're asking, I feel like I have a good place to get help when I need it. And no, I don't. Like, I don't at all. There's basically the only way to get any help at all is to blast them on Twitter and hope they listen to you. And if you're if you don't have clout, if you don't have enough followers on Twitter, they will ignore you. They will straight up ignore you. And then the first response that you get is a canned response chosen by artificial intelligence to look for keywords. And it'll say something that looks like it was written by a human originally, but it's just a canned response. And it's just, you're like, no, listen, read my tweet, respond accordingly.
Well, it's even look at even Jamie's video. Jamie's channel was 100% being shadow banned. He's lucky that he has the clout to call them out on Twitter. And then after he called them out on Twitter and they got a response or whatever, his channel mysteriously was on, and they were like, "Oh, we didn't do anything to your channel." But it's, come on.
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
Exactly. It really is. It really is. Insidious, Muda is in this video. He has some good takes too. We'll get to that obviously. So Zeep stirred.
I mean, actually hire people to review and moderate videos, not auto-moderate.
I've seen
like fucking R2D2 over here telling me that my info or any other creator's info isn't valuable to a cause when there's actual victims on the line.
Every single day we can see exploitative content trending on YouTube. Content such as family channel content that takes advantage of children. On the other hand, we have
that's not as much of a problem anymore, I don't think, but she has a point.
Not only demonetized, but actively hidden from subscribers who signed up to see that content. And this is a problem.
It feels like YouTube is constantly
Muda is Muda. Muda is love.
Platform. This is something that I experienced with my fake animal rescue investigation. When all of a sudden my video started getting age restrictions, and then I started to receive
Ready to Glare is sweet. She's such a sweet,
such a sweet gal. If I kept making that content, then YouTube would have removed my channel. And what made it so much more frustrating was the fact that these channels that I was exposing just continued on fully monetized and not receiving any form of punishment. Out of all those people that I exposed, the first person to get punished was me. But as upsetting as that situation was, what's happening here with Max's video is something that I find even more concerning. Age restriction is one thing, but to have your video removed completely with no justification and with no chance to appeal it is something that shouldn't happen under any circumstances. It really is a shame because those who are on here exposing predators and doing so in a fair and responsible way, just like Max was, deserve to have a platform here and deserve to be celebrated for the work they're doing. And yet all too often it's YouTube who's taking action against these creators. And when they do that, they are not only actively siding with these predators, but they are actively protecting them as well.
YouTube likes to put on this.
I would say I agree with what Nick was saying there. The semantics are a little bit off, I think, but like the spirit of what he's saying is absolutely true, where maybe they're not like actively, because I think if they were saying they're actively supporting child predators and pedophiles and shit like that, that would be more like they are welcoming them with open arms, which is not the case. It's just through their inaction and through their poor choices, they are taking away voices who are speaking up and trying to defend those who can't defend themselves. And so in a roundabout way, yes, indirectly they are supporting them, but
well, that's the whole thing. It's if you like inaction it's guilty by association. It's YouTube is, I think, so afraid of making like waves with their advertisers and stuff like that they're not making any like hard stances here, which is like really problematic for such a big platform.
Siding with these predators, but they are actively protecting them as well.
And I was just speaking of the semantics, sir.
That they care about their creators. When anybody who's worked in the platform knows it's complete bullshit. The only thing they care about is making money. And if you're seen as a little bit unmarketable or a little bit edgy, you're completely screwed. Doesn't matter if you actually are. The thought of you maybe being that is enough to get you completely screwed. And so what ends up happening is they end up censoring these really important things, like people raising awareness or people investigating things or trying to expose things. They end up censoring them because they're a little bit dark. Imagine outlets not publishing stories or exposés or really hard-hitting things because the subject matter was sensitive. It's just so ridiculous to think about. YouTube pretends to care about their creators when they don't.
The overall problem with YouTube is that it cares more for its public appearance than it does for those who actually make the platform work. Content creators, especially those who focus on investigative reporting, are very often either heavily censored or flat out removed from the website if we, for lack of a better words, get too loud. If we know our place and don't shine a light on the elephant in the room, we are safe. But if we actually do our job, then we are punished.
You know, when we look at YouTube's policies, some of the content that I was making specifically did cover upon people that
Here's
were
our
actually
boy.
predatory towards underage people on the internet.
And he has done some really in-depth research on stuff. He did that whole Club Penguin thing here. Let me start his part over. I don't want to interrupt Muda here.
Then we are punished.
When we look at YouTube's policies, some of the content that I was making specifically did cover upon people that were actually predatory towards underage people on the internet. And that's a big problem. It's a reality. Whether you go on YouTube, whether you go on Facebook, whether you go on Discord, whether you go on any platform, there's always creepy adults who are willing to use their power and advantage to overpower actual underage individuals. And that's disgusting, and it's actually really sick. And the problem that we have on YouTube is even if you follow all the rules and all the guidelines and you blur every single thing imaginable, you're still potentially facing some level of a privacy guideline strike. And I don't know how it gets handled. Sometimes they go through, sometimes they don't. But even if you attempt to follow every single rule, it seems as though that many of these sites tend to favor and protect a lot of these individuals, even if it is unintentionally. Hell, just look at some of these.
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
If you even leak out or potentially mention somebody else, you could. It's such a vague terms of service that who knows? Somebody may potentially take advantage of it and use it to strike your
And that's by design. And they have actually even mentioned that they prefer not to define certain things so that they can use it to their advantage, which goes back to one of the original points I was making at the start of this, where the terms and service of YouTube are used more as a weapon than a shield. It's more of a sword than a shield, because the lip service that they give their community guidelines is that it's meant to protect the platform. So that's the language is we are using it as a shield, but the actions is that we are using it as a sword, and that's not compatible, honestly. And they have to define their terms and enforce evenly and equally across the platform. If you're
if you're not this, like, it's like all these creators are kind of saying, if you're not this friendly, marketable face or like a drama channel that makes YouTube a lot of money, they come down hard and fast on you, and there's very little you can do unless you have a lot of clout, which is crazy.
Were you on stream watching the stream earlier when I basically showed how they took down Max's video, and the reason they gave was that a video game ass was there, not clothed and all that. And then we just typed in twerk in the search bar on YouTube, and
it's probably a million videos.
Oh yeah, with thumbnails and everything that are straight up showing bare ass and partially clothed asses, clearly meant for sexual gratification.
Or think of another type of video that, like, it pops up all the time, or you just see it in like YouTube recommended front page or whatever, is there's try on. This is very much recommended by YouTube. It's like my try on, and it's like, it's girls just trying on. They're like, oh, part of my daily bikini try on or something, and it's YouTube's okay with that.
No.
And it's okay. It's very uneven. It's very uneven.
Sword versus shield, man.
Who knows? Somebody may potentially take advantage of it and use it to strike your channel. It feels as though every time you actually try to bring light to something disgusting like this and have it potentially investigated and shut down, you're the bad guy, okay? So really, it restricts a lot of people from putting their effort into it. And unfortunately, it feels as though the system is geared against people trying to do actual good, and it seems like the people who are actually the malicious and fucked up people in nature are the ones that may unintentionally get protected with all these new guidelines and privacy issues and all that. But generally, that's the way that I feel about it. I literally had to stop making content because it feels like I was the one being targeted.
And that's one of the big reasons why I don't really go into child predators and stuff like that anymore on my channel, is because I got punished so hard in terms of the algorithm. Like, nobody sees my videos anymore because the quality score on my channel, because I have videos like the Capitol riots, a video supporting Max the last time this happened to him, the stuff that talks about some dark shit. And what that does is it contributes to the negative quality score on your channel. Another reason, honestly, is because I really got uncomfortable with the stuff people were emailing me and stuff. Like, the last thing I ever want is somebody sending me a zip file full of proof of something somebody's doing. Cause that's just, dude, that is a minefield. And like, I just mentally can't handle that kind of stuff. I really don't have the constitution to be able to handle seeing the actual horrible things that are happening. I just can't. Like, I can talk about this stuff generally and be a strong advocate for a better world for people who can't defend themselves. I cannot get that far into the trenches like some of these other guys I think probably have been. And I can't. I just mentally cannot cope with that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, that's like almost getting into the staring into the abyss category. It's
the abyss absolutely stares back.
Yeah. I have family members that are police officers and the people that are in the military. And if you look at that, if you start investigating that stuff, it's going to mess you up once you start getting down that deep. So that's the serious abyss territory right there.
Oh yeah. I got sent a link to a Telegram channel or something that evidently people were sharing stuff between themselves really openly. They're like, check this channel out. And I was like, no. And then the guy that sent me the link, he was like, okay, truth time, I'm actually in that. And I kind of struggle with this and everything, but I still don't think it's right and all that. I'm like, okay, get therapy. Don't talk to me again. That's straight up what I told him. And like, it's such a minefield. I can't handle shit like that. I just can't.
I'm an investigative journalist.
Linsidious, happy freaking birthday!
How am I going to be able to take care of my
Happy
cat?
birthday.
To you.
They just turned 18, so they can actually, now you can.
No, don't go there.
Now they can watch this challenging content.
Oh yeah, right. Now you're allowed to watch the sensitive issues.
Talk about crazy stuff.
Yeah.
You'd be taking food out of the mouths of hardworking individuals and putting it into the mouths of pedophiles.
I'll listen to it, Teak.
Never really given a shit about investigative journalism content. I think that's really a given. While YouTube in recent years has tried to be a squeaky clean company that not many people could be offended by, investigative journalism inherently goes into topics that are controversial or require a lot of depth to get into. It doesn't really matter if these investigative pieces could actually help real law enforcement with actual crimes, which is why some small investigative journalism channels are being taken down, because YouTube thinks people won't notice. We need to show them that we do, and that if they continue to do it, it's going to look bad on them as a company for all of us.
I will say really quick, just to address something somebody said in chat here about Marshmallow. So I saw the video that John Swan did. I will let you know, like, I'm in a couple of group chats with technicals. I'm not like, I wouldn't say we're close. We're acquainted more than anything. So I'll be honest. I did see the video John Swan did. From what I understand from both technicals and a couple other people who saw that video and knew what was going on, there is basically John Swan and Nick DiOrio, which people around here know how I feel about Nick DiOrio.
Messages on Twitter there.
Oh man, I stand by it, dude. I fucking hate the guy. This was evidently a targeted attack because there was some disagreement that they had about something else, and I can't remember what it was. And so they kind of took they and what's most important too is they did not reach out to technicals for comment in that video at all, because there's evidently far more nuance in that story than they gave credit for, because there's a whole other side of things that I don't know. I honestly don't know if it is exculpatory or absolves technicals on the stuff that was talked about. I don't know. So I'm not trying to say this is me defending technicals, because I honestly just don't have all the facts. I just understand there's far more nuance, and technicals evidently has a video that he's going to come out with where he's going to address that video, which I'll watch it. I'll be honest, I stay pretty far removed from the commentary community. It's just not my wheelhouse. It's not my interest area.
I think that's for the best. The commentary community is...
Oh, it's bad. It's toxic as hell.
Yeah, like looking at all that stuff, I am like, nope. I was like, I don't ever want to be involved with this. This seems like a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick's doing everything he can on Twitter to mock Max with his followers. Yeah, because Nick's a small-dicked little fucking pussy, because he doesn't actually make any decent content himself. His entire content persona and who he seems to be as a person is to just be a trash human being. and attract all the other trash on the internet to join his lunch table, which is just full of the refuse of the YouTube ecosystem. He is a fucking loser. I fucking hate Nick DiOrio. And he tried to act like he didn't know who I was. Nick DiOrio, if you see this, you know who the fuck I am. And we have interacted before. So don't lie to people and say we have never interacted before. We've interacted when it came to my friend Oki. We've interacted when it came to my friend Slush. I know you were in chat and talking to me. You said things directly to me in chat when I was on Slush's little podcast about the Dr. K stuff. You're an insecure, small dick little man baby, and you should just delete your fucking channel and disappear. That's how I feel about Nick DiOrio. There are 0 people on Earth that I really just despise on that level. Really, like he's really probably the only YouTube creator out there that I feel that way about. He is just basura. Anyway,
I feel like that's a lot of these people though, and a lot of there are some toxic.
Yeah, there definitely are. But the thing is, DiOrio's gone after my friends, and
so it's personal.
So it's personal to me. So he's gone after my friends, and that's why I specifically can't stand Nick DiOrio. So
yeah, understandable. I feel like unfortunately Keemstar has inspired a lot of people like himself, and I don't know a lot about Nick DiOrio. I try to stay away from the commentary videos.
Yeah,
I try to stay far removed from the commentary community, but it seems to me like Keemstar inspired a lot of people that are Keemstar juniors,
right?
And from what I understand about Nick,
except when it comes to Keem though,
type guy.
When it comes to Keem definitely has some very aggressive takes, because honestly in that space, the hotter the take is, the more attention you get. The thing is, he seems to be at least somewhat reasonable in a few things that he says, and my opinion has softened quite a bit over the last year concerning Keem. But in Marshmallow Droid, you bring up a great question, and my answer to that is what I said earlier: is I don't have all the answers. My understanding is there's a lot of nuance that was left out of that video that was talking about technicals. So instead of jumping on and getting a pitchfork based off of one single take, which was formulated in bad faith. And remember, they did not reach out to Technicals for any kind of comment. Technicals, because I asked him the night it came out, he had no idea the video was even coming. And he was actually kind of heartbroken because he actually thought those people were his friends. And so just you're going to do what you're going to do. I don't have a dog in the race. I really don't. I'm just saying, there seems to be a lot of nuance that was left out purposefully because it was meant to be an attack. So it was in bad faith from what my understanding was. That doesn't mean that what they said was untrue, but I would be interested to be learning more what the other side of the coin was and what the nuance was. But the single shadiest thing that was in that John Swan video though, and I don't despise John Swan the way I despise Nick DiOrio. John Swan's a nice guy behind the scenes. He's been pretty nice to me and all that. He's had some takes that I certainly disagree with, but I just, whatever, I don't care. But that seemed to be kind of a dick move from his point of view, in terms of these guys tried to brand themselves as journalists, and coming from an actual journalist, somebody who has a background in journalism, one of the shadiest things you can do as a journalist is write a piece that is going to cast an extremely negative light on any kind of entity without giving them the chance to respond, to comment on what you are about to say within the article.
From what I understand about journalistic integrity, you always at least reach out for comments instead of blindsiding the person. It seems like most legitimate news resources will let you know that a story is coming and would you care to comment. And to blindside somebody, I don't know anything about the situation, so I'm just saying from a strictly objective perspective, they should have at least reached out to him for comments to include in the story.
And if Edwin did try to start a conversation with him, you're not establishing that was part of the discussion that was being had. And it doesn't matter if it's probably mean to say that and probably kind of a dick move. But when it comes to like John Swan, the appropriate way to do this, and they are directly connected, they have access to each other, like they can talk to each other. John Swan his responsibility, his journalistic responsibility is to say, I am making a video. I'm going to be talking about this and this. What is your response to these accusations?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the way you're supposed to handle it.
If you've ever seen any documentary, it's always declined to comment.
Right. Yeah. And what I've said before to other YouTubers as well, I did kind of a takedown video myself on Scary Mysteries way back in the day because he stole some of my content. And I reached out to him lots to try and get him to comment, to try and do this the right way. And then he didn't. So that's why I made the video, and he still hasn't responded, but that's neither here nor there. But like, the point is that I reached out, I made an effort many times to try and get comment. And that's the way you're supposed to do it. And one thing I said to Scary Mysteries in the video was that we may not be formally journalists. Like, I call myself a journalist because I think that's something that I just feel in my bones that I really am. But I don't currently work for a credited news publication anymore. So while we may not be quote unquote journalists, the work that we do is close enough that we should be holding ourselves to some kind of journalistic standards. You know what I mean? That's the big point that I wanted to make there. But there's another one of my boys here, the Kino Corner, man. He's a good dude. I think he's, if I remember right, he's got some good points here too.
To do it, it's going to look bad on them as a company for all of us.
What worries me about the state of YouTube isn't just how it seems to prioritize mainstream media.
Real quick though, Tipster's not a journalist. Just gonna say that.
Over
no, Tipster is like a trashy commentary channel.
But also how it takes these concepts that it uses to soft censor commentators and it applies it to the rest of YouTube. Just as a film analyst and reviewer myself, there's a lot of censoring that I have to do on my own channel. I love the platform of YouTube, but I don't feel like it supports my own free speech, and I think that a lot of discussions are stifled because we creators feel like there are just things that we cannot talk about. This is how we've been conditioned.
I definitely don't think it's great that YouTube sometimes removes content that exposes pedophiles and animal abuse.
Internet
I
AJ.
understand that YouTube has strict advertisement guidelines, but a lot of dark content creators and investigative channels are truly facing negative repercussions. Hopefully YouTube is willing to work on this sensitive issue and make changes that are better for the community.
My name is
That was
Dave
more of a
Ross, and I've been
platitude than
voice
any
actor
kind of
for
point.
Max for a couple of years at this point. With the takedown of his most recent video, you can't really help but begin to theorize that although the method of delivery is unique, it still acts as this campaign of awareness against individuals on the internet that are engaging in felonious acts such as pedophilia and grooming. And with YouTube's consistent censorship and suppression of Max, you can't help but ask the question, why?
As a creator who tries to bring more attention to sensitive and dark subjects in the online realm, I also feel neglected and let down by YouTube. Max is one of many creators on the platform that supports YouTube in their quest to fight against the exploit of minors. YouTube is doing themselves no favor by striking and deleting content, exposing the same problem they are trying to fix. Max's videos contain months of work to collect as much evidence as possible. YouTube thanks him by making his life as hard as possible by not communicating, deleting his videos, and striking his channel.
So I'm doing this video.
Yeah, and what Linsidious is saying there too, I said it once before on the stream, I'll say it again. She really does need to go. She's far too out of touch with the heartbeat of what makes the platform work. And she answers only to the CFO, basically. Like, just.
Well, I think the thing to consider for those who don't know who Susan is, she was a marketing executive. That was like, she's the one who was in charge of Google AdSense that recommended buying YouTube as a platform as a money move. So Susan is completely disconnected from
double click. You mean
she's a suit. She's a marketing executive, so she's completely disconnected from anything content creation. She's not
qualified.
She's a numbers person.
Yeah, she's just not qualified to do what she does.
No,
and this is somebody
she's qualified to count money somewhere. That's not to make these decisions about content creation.
And I will say that with whatever credibility I have as somebody who has a degree in finance, who has worked in the C-suite for a few companies, actually, very briefly, but like I do have a background in working at executive levels and stuff. In fact, I was working with a company on coming up with a marketing program for their employees and all that. So I've seen companies run from the macro level that she's at, not nearly as big as where she's at, but I can tell you she just does not exude credibility or competence in the role that she is in.
Right.
She's good at platitudes because she's a marketing executive. Right. No, I won't even say she's good at platitudes because the proof is always in the pudding, because they talk out of both sides of their mouth. I remember when the George Floyd situation was happening, they had this whole initiative of, we support Black creators and content that promotes awareness to the causes that they care about. On the same day that I released Lives That Matter, which talked about this, they both demonetized it, and I think they actually tried to remove it at one point. I don't know if they actually removed it, but it was age restricted.
Dang.
And I got it unage restricted, and it was all because I had footage of Eric Garner's arrest when he was yelling out, "I can't breathe." And he was in the process of being murdered right there, but it didn't show death. And and to this day, it's one of the least viewed videos on my channel, but it's, until I came out with the Beast of Gévaudan video, it was the video I was the most proud of. Honestly, if you haven't seen Lives That Matter, I really encourage you. I know it's not the kind of content that is typical for my kind of channel, but I spent 2 weeks filming in George Floyd's old neighborhood. I spoke to people. I got interviews with actual activists who really are on the front lines of this. And I did my absolute best to be an advocate for people who don't have a voice within the white community nearly enough. And me, as a white bread Caucasian, led a pretty charmed life up until this point anyway. Like, I felt with what voice I did have, I felt it was important to shine some light on it. And I knew it wouldn't be well received by a lot of my audience, but I didn't expect to be worked against by YouTube itself when they were in the middle of a messaging campaign talking about how important these issues were to them. So it just doesn't make any sense.
I think the whole thing about Susan is that, as a marketing, and I disagree. So I disagree with Insidious a little bit, saying that she's just a trash person. She's an elderly person trying to operate a server, and I'll explain why. I think she knows exactly what she's doing, and from her perspective and from Google's top brass, she's probably doing a great job because she's making the money hand over fist. But they should stop calling the platform YouTube, and it should just be like something else at this point, because she's doing a horrible job for the creators, for the viewers, but she knows what she's doing.
I will say they don't have anything to compare that against, though. You're saying she's making the money hand over fist, but what she's doing, though, is they could be making so much more if they just made better decisions. Because as short-sighted as all of their knee-jerk reactions are, because it changes from day to day how they actually operate, really, they've never really had a consistent vision on what is acceptable and what works for YouTube. It's always been a seat of their pants sort of thing. And they have lots of algorithms and data that tell them one thing, but they interpret it as telling them another thing. And so what they are doing is they are ruining the long-term viability of YouTube as a platform for the short-term gains. So maybe they're doing things that work in the short term, but one of my favorite business books ever is called Good to Great. And what makes a company really great is that they do something revolutionary that elevates them to a status where it might not have worked out for them in the short term, but in the long term, they are now some of the greatest companies ever. Walgreens, originally, their original business model was a street corner place that sold malted milkshakes. That's what Walgreens originally was.
That was like drugstores in general, but then they expanded, obviously, at some point.
Specifically Walgreens. I don't know about other drugstores really, but Walgreens started as a malted milkshake company, and they slowly started introducing things like over-the-counter stuff, and then they realized that their business model was to get a store on a great corner and turn it into a drugstore, and they started skyrocketing. And they became a great company in terms of just financial viability. I don't know enough about their social responsibility, whatever. That's not really what is taken into account in the book. But it's companies that do the long-term right thing for their financial stability that makes them a great company, which is the point of the book. And YouTube is doing the short-term, get the money now at the expense of the future.
They're doing it's my money and I want it now.
Yeah.
I think, and I agree with you there, that I think, unfortunately, to go from good to great, you need a visionary. I actually worked for a long time.
Dave's right.
I worked for Don Panad, who was one of the executives, and I was an operations manager for a pretty large coffee company, and she was the VP. And she was one of the executives responsible for Starbucks expansion. And they grew the company from, I believe it was 3 or 5 stores in the Seattle area to the Starbucks that you see today. But unfortunately, you need that person or that very small group of people. Like with Starbucks, it was Howard Schultz, it was Don Panad, among others, that like grew Starbucks from like this small regional company to a worldwide corporation. And I don't think that Susan, so she was a marketing person that she was given her job because she after running the Google AdSense program for Google, she recommended buying YouTube and making that part of.
When you're saying AdSense, do you mean DoubleClick? Because I think she came from DoubleClick.
She was.
I don't know for sure.
I'm pretty sure she was in charge of the Google. She was running the Google AdSense when they bought YouTube. I'm fairly certain that she was in charge of whatever behind the scenes there was for running the Google AdSense program before it became intermingled with YouTube and all that stuff. And she was an executive that recommended buying YouTube. And because she was the one who proposed it, they put her in charge of it. Yeah. And it's you put this person with no like community involvement or like a video background or whatever, like you put that executive in charge of this platform, it seems bad. So I think if Google really wants, and unfortunately for Susan, I think if Google really wants YouTube to become this thing that has longevity and will be around forever and people love it and respect it, Susan's got to go, and they got to put somebody in charge that understands
the heartbeat of the actual community. Yeah.
Exactly.
And doesn't just talk to Philip DeFranco to find out what's going on.
And her and her overlords right now are only interested in making money. And she's making the money and the company's making money. But I agree with you in that if they want the company to grow, if they want YouTube to grow beyond what it is into something bigger and better, they got to get somebody in charge that understands that.
Yeah. For sure. All right, let's continue here.
And striking his channel.
So Mama Max, he hit me up and he's like, look, I'm doing this video. Do you want to be a part of it? And I thought, well, actually I do, because he's right in what he's saying. With his work, obviously it's investigations into very dark territory, people that are abusing kids. It's very important to put that out there and show the world what's going on. You would think if YouTube was staying to its original ethos, that YouTube will be a great place to do that, show the world where otherwise this kind of information might not get out there. Now what they're doing is they're trying to censor stuff that is kind of a little bit dark, a little bit edgy, because it doesn't really line up with their advertisers. So the same thing has happened to me with my platform, Popular Front, independent conflict reporting. We go to wars, we show the world what is going on, and it's completely independent. Our whole channel has been demonetized. They've put some of our documentaries up behind this weird warning saying that the content is considered offensive. Like, what is offensive about documenting war crimes? Okay, it might not be palatable for your advertisers, but it's very important work. It needs to be out there. So I think what Mama Max is saying is definitely right. YouTube needs to stop doing this, or they need to really be honest about what it is. Do they just want content that is good for their advertisers, that they can say, yeah, this is all nicey nanny state type stuff? Or do they want to stick to the original plan of, yeah, anyone can use this platform to kind of put information out there? I don't know, it's a real problem, and I'm glad Mama Max is drawing attention to it. Hopefully YouTube will listen. I doubt they will, but who knows?
You know, YouTube likes to pride themselves on being...
Like, what's really poignant in all of these is because some of these people, they have good takes. Some of them are just platitudes. Some of them, they have real points to make. But what I'm really feeling, which is if you talk to literally any creator, there's this sense of kind of hopelessness. Like their success is out of their hands. It's just, you want to feel like your success is in your control, but there's just like this hopelessness that all of us feel, that just, we don't have any say in what's going to make ourselves successful. Like, it's just every day is a roll of the dice I could literally have my channel deleted and gone forever tomorrow.
Yep.
Based off of a single clip, or I could have some company that does a mass takedown of content that they feel is theirs and do a false takedown sort of thing. And YouTube would just delete my channel and never give me a chance to defend myself. And I'm just gone.
It's crazy. Did you hear what did Nathan tell you what happened to his? He put up the Moist Critical video that talked about Jamie's video on Nathan. And Nathan was like, oh, wow. And the video started performing well on Nathan's channel. And this is just like an example of how messed up YouTube is, and it just automatically like restrict stuff.
Yeah.
Nathan's video was doing well. He was making a little bit of money on it. Nathan doesn't really make money on his channel anymore. And they age restricted Nathan's video of himself, and because it had self-harm. And Nathan was like, he messaged them and was like, I'm a stunt man.
Yeah.
And I do physical comedy. And they were like, no, they're like, you can't show that. This is self-harm. And I'm a stunt man.
Ugh. It looks like I got a notice here. It says pre-roll ads are on. Run an ad break to disable them. What does that mean? It says
I think that means if people come into your stream for the first time, they'll get ads. If they're not subscribed.
Yeah, I think I've got it set so that it'll run ads if you're not subscribed, but it says it should be running. I just don't understand the language it used. It said run an ad to disable it. Is it not running an ad? I don't know.
You can run an ad, and then I think people will, if people just show up because you've already physically run the ad yourself.
It's set on a timer, at least I thought it was, where like every 30 minutes, 60 minutes, it'll run a 30-second ad or something like that, or 15-second ad, something like that. I don't know. Either way, most people here, because there were so many awesome gift subs going around, I'm pretty sure most people in here are still with us here. Anyway, let's go ahead and keep going here. This is my boy Vince Vintage. By the way, if you guys have not subscribed to Vince Vintage, he is kind of a newer creator. He is one of my dudes. Like, he is good at what he does, and he's really starting to blow up. He's actually doing pretty well with YouTube right now. And despite how controversial and stuff his content seems to be.
I'm looking at his channel right now.
His stuff is so good.
I just subscribed. He's got some. I've never heard of him, but his channel looks good.
Oh yeah, his videos on Hunter Biden. He did one on Tiger Woods' marriage. He did one on the fappening. He did one on the Ashley Madison hack. They're supremely entertaining. If you're a fan of
one on Elon Musk.
Yeah, if you're a fan of stuff like Internet Historian, he's right up your alley, honestly. He's not like the same, but like kind of the same sort of whimsical atmosphere and everything, and it's so good. Like some of the way he edits too, he's openly admitted to everybody too. I take direct inspiration from Internet Historian, and he's doing a great job. He's doing a really great job. But yeah, Vince Vintage, just check him out if you can.
Hey, Ty is in the chat.
Ty, what's up, Ty? Shit, yeah, one on fucking Hunter Biden. Yeah, oh yeah. The thing is, I'm kind of a left-leaning person, and so before I saw his video, I would see attacks on Hunter Biden as, okay, somebody's got an axe to grind or whatever. But there's actually a lot there. Like, I was blown away when he finished when the video was over, and honestly it was genius. The Bidens, they're a real shady family, honestly, and Hunter Biden is like the worst. It's just the stuff they actually really did find on his laptop.
Yeah, I've heard some things. It's not good. But like,
I haven't seen the actual images because they are technically child pornography, but I've seen enough of the smoke that it is there, and it is definitively him.
I've seen a few videos that like talk about the Hunter Biden situation, and I'm like, okay, this is being reported by legitimate news resources. I was like, there's probably stuff there. I was like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think when you are somebody like Joe Biden, he's a career politician. He's been in politics for 40 years or whatever.
I do think he does have some things that he does care about, but he's more into what's expedient than what is right, for sure.
He just
has no backbone.
He's a middle politician.
He's the Democratic version of Paul Ryan is what he is.
Yeah, he just rides right in the middle. He doesn't make any there's no like hard sweeping changes, which is kind of what the country needs, and it's just more of the same.
Anyway, we're getting a little off topic here. Let's continue on here.
But who knows? YouTube likes to pride themselves on
Vince
being this big
Vintage
platform where any creator can make it for any kind of genre they want to, but
At the end of the day, it's if you're going to do any kind of investigative journalism, you're going to have a rough time. Because when it comes down to it, the big corporations, they have way more leeway in what they can cover compared to you. I've had videos that have been age restricted and demonetized because of the topics I'm talking about, but then you see the mainstream news where their clips are on the trending front page and they're talking about that same thing.
Yep.
That shit's fucked up, honestly. That shit really pisses me off. Because it's like, why are they giving all this leeway to the big corporations, but then when it comes down to the smaller creators that make up the entire platform, oh, they're not allowed to talk about it.
I know the answer to that, but it's not
You
great.
don't need to protect pedophiles. You don't need to protect animal abusers. These are bad people. Society has deemed them as bad people. We are allowed to bully them. YouTube, please let us bully bad people.
Let us bully bad people. I love that.
Bad. Animal abusers bad. That's my take.
Bully terrible evil people. Okay, she talks so slow. I'm gonna speed this up to 2 times speed because she literally talks at a snail's pace during this part. We'll do 1.5 times right now.
Warn the innocent. Spread the word.
This is 1.5.
Seems to punish the heroes and reward
Is this
the
like her
villains
thing? I've never heard of her.
I've never heard of her either.
Really slow.
Whose side are you on, YouTube?
YouTube taking down this kind of content.
Oh, we got our boy Jamie. Let's go to regular speed.
Jamie ordinarily talks fast.
Yeah, he does talk kind of fast, but no, Jamie actually brought up, I think, one of the best points in this entire thing of YouTubers. I want you all to really pay attention to what Jamie says here, because Jamie has a really good point.
Whose side are you on, YouTube?
Yeah. I will just say I will just say really quick. I think that Jamie has some of the best takes on the platform, just in general.
He does.
He has very good takes on stuff. So
Jamie is our dude.
Yeah.
Whose side are you on, YouTube?
Gosh, she's so slow.
YouTube taking down this kind of content reminds me of what a lot of people refer to as
toxic positivity.
That everything is fine and avoiding the problem head on. They've also started doing this with basic criticism on the platform, such as removing dislikes and making it a lot harder to comment on mobile, which coincidentally is the device most people use when engaging with their site. When we lose the ability to critique, we lose the ability to improve.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, then good job, Teak. Good job, Teak. I'll give you some credit then too, if that's due, because that was honestly, I think, the highlight of this entire segment of other creators. Really, this toxic positivity that YouTube has as a platform, where they want it to appear sunshine and rainbows and just only good things. And if you look at the YouTube and Team YouTube Twitter account, it is full of toxic positivity.
Oh yeah.
All right, so here's our other boy. Mike is another one of my good friends on here.
Yeah, I think what's given most people the idea, and me included, that YouTube doesn't really care so much is that it keeps moving the goalposts of what it wants on the site and what's acceptable nowadays. It seems that what you put up on a Monday will get you in the crapper by Friday.
It's hard being a commentator or an investigative creator on the platform of YouTube a lot of the time, because I think, to be honest, YouTube have made it pretty clear they're not really big fans of our presence, and honestly they just would like the world without the drama. But at the end of the day, when people are being exploited, I think there needs to be a point where creators exist, and I think we do a pretty good job in that regard. It's just YouTube don't really want us there to do it.
If we weren't able to
Vented in-
investigate things like Chris
Yes.
Hansen, Onision, EDP, a lot of the very positive impacts would just be void. They wouldn't even exist.
Is Technicals in this
A lot of
twice?
stuff just gets along to the wayside. Now, I know that there's some people who do take advantage of this system, but I genuinely believe that the good outweighs the bad. And if we're no longer able to
Maybe he's
investigate
not.
stuff like this, it's going to be a net loss for the entire community.
Easily the most frustrating thing for me personally has been issues with YouTube's privacy complaint system. YouTube has a system in place to allow
It's kind of a side funny thing. I get really uncomfortable with the use of the N-word. It's just like one of those things I get really uncomfortable when it's said around me, even if it's in just like a group chat. For the longest time, I didn't know Technicals was black. And he was like, he was dropping that in chat. And I was biting my tongue for so long. And I kind of didn't like him for a little while, like just because like I hated seeing him say that. And then I finally saw like pictures of him when they all met up in Los Angeles and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. Like, it's still not my favorite word. And like, I don't like being around when it's said, but like, I actually straight up thought he was a white dude until I saw those pictures. Because I'd never watched his content.
Private figures to request retractions on public YouTube videos if they feel information about them, like their identity, has been compromised by that video. Information that deserves to be private. In theory, this seems like a good idea, but in practice, this allows some bad actors
Let us bully
to silence
pedos.
criticism. About half a year ago, I posted a video about an individual I would love to name, who spent his time
We're gonna
sex
bully some
pest people's
pedos.
messages by... There's really no way
Have
to
to.
put this nicely. Sending pictures of himself wearing a diaper in women's DMs. So, I posted a 17-minute breakdown of who he is. Keep in mind, I censored all of his private info for his own safety, while still telling the story accurately. He created his own thread on gossip forums in order to humiliate himself, and even posted his full name and address. I merely talked about the fact that he did this, and was punished. YouTube allowed this person to abuse the privacy system multiple times to get the video taken down. But I can't help but find it funny that YouTube took down my video claiming that I was engaging in violating this guy's privacy and later harassing him when he was the one who brought it all on
He
himself
doxed
in the
himself.
first place, and intentionally. Embarrassing. I've been Turkey Tom. Bye.
It pains me to say YouTube has garnered a reputation for leaving their own creators in the
Is that
dark
actually how
when
he
it comes
talks?
to imposing important rules.
This
and
Jay Aubrey guy?
regulations. Guidelines against
I've never heard of
harassment are a good thing, but how are investigative creators meant to follow them when the language used is so intentional?
He seems like he's kind of doing a will. He's like,
well,
with
I
his
don't want
voice.
to make fun of him too bad, honestly, because really, people's narrator voice is totally different from their conversational voice.
Well, no, yeah,
mine
and that's the whole
included.
thing. And that's the whole thing. I'm not making fun of him, but it sounds like he's doing. It sounds like he's doing a little bit of a voice.
Maybe it sounds like that's actually like him, but I don't know. Anyway,
maybe
I don't want to draw too much attention to it.
I'm tired of pouring hours of work into a video only for it to be demonetized and age restricted with little to no helpful explanation. How are we supposed to know what to avoid if we don't know what we're doing wrong?
YouTube has slowly been more restrictive in terms of content creators, trying to tell stories of bad actors within communities. Content is the hardest to deal with, as a lot of what might be discussed has to be censored. For example, a History Channel might want to cover World War II, but to
Yeah, it's just
absolutely
chills.
make sure
Oh yeah. No, I was about to say History channels might want to this whole thing about channels covering World War II. That was a huge problem. My heart absolutely broke for Armchair Historian. I would love to talk to Armchair Historian, honestly. Like, I wish I could hook up with him and talk to him on stream or something and talk about this issue, really. You know what? I don't know him.
I'm still waiting for you to do the collab with Mark Felton Productions.
Mark Felton Productions.
You've watched Mark Felton videos.
That's-
He's like a World War II historian guy.
Oh, sorry. I was like, I'm going to feel real dumb. It's just my brain switched off momentarily when you said that for some reason. Dude, I would love to talk to Mark Felton. Did he?
He's
I
Mark
doubt he
Felton's-
ever would.
He's the greatest.
Talking about YouTube issues regarding demonetization and other issues we creators face, and we're talking about how hard it was on you specifically a few years back. Would love to have you briefly on VC to chat. Let's see if he responds. I doubt he will. I'm just reaching out.
Yeah, you never know unless
Yeah.
you reach out there.
Yeah. He doesn't know who I am. He has no reason to come on stream, but I really would love to talk to him. Like, I genuinely love his content, and I really, man, I don't know if, let me see here. Armchair Historian quits. Let me see here. There
did he quit?
He
after-
straight up about shut his channel down. Yeah, let's see here. I think he's unlisted this video. Oh yeah, it's not available anymore.
Oh, they demonetized him.
No. Yeah, they had demonetized basically every video where he was talking about World War II or Nazis or anything like that. All of these history channels got hit so hard. And he uploaded a video basically saying, we're done. They demonetized everything we'd ever done. I have people coming into work. I have animators. I have so many people. It's not just him. Like, he hires so many people, and I can't pay them. I can't. I am out of money now because they have deleted everything.
crazy.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, that's great, Dave. I know Alternate History Hub has replaced the swastikas or not on Nazis with the YouTube logo on his videos. That's amazing. I didn't know that.
It's funny.
That's amazing.
I think the dangerous thing about this, besides just restricting history, is it's like if this isn't allowed, then Google, YouTube could theoretically rewrite history to whatever narrative they choose. This is censorship.
I really wish he hadn't just deleted that video, honestly, because even if it solved, even if that particular situation was solved, it's still good to have it somewhere, even if it's unlisted, as something to look back on to establish the pattern that we are talking about right now. I really wish it was still up somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here's another one here. 250 videos demonetized. What's up, YouTube? The Great War. These guys are affiliated, I believe. The Great War.
Hi, I'm Flo, producer of The Great War.
This is only 4 minutes long here.
I just want to join the choir. Basically, the increasing number of
I just saw your text on the screen.
A problem with
for anybody who does want to follow me, it's Tinfoil Tom Twitch.
I'm sorry. Let me fix that.
In case you followed Tinfoil, that might be another person.
I'm sorry.
I just saw it, so that I pointed out.
When I went through the video manager,
I play scary games on my Twitch, so if you like scary games,
yeah.
In the past, we didn't really have.
Tom's got a great following too. They have a lot of fun on their streams. A lot more fun than we have here.
In fact, I was actually
no, your streams are fun too. I mostly play games on my stream, and then I save the videos for a different thing.
Yeah.
So.
Honestly, I was hoping he would have a clip from Armchair Historian in here, but it doesn't look like he did. So let's get back to Max's video here.
That green mark, they might have to change a few things in the wording. Absolutely censored. For example, History Channel might want to cover World War II, but to absolutely make sure they get that green mark, they might.
Tom's cyberbullying me.
Oh man!
After everything, after all the Jolly Ranchers I've paid Tekin to moderate my various things, this is the thanks that I get.
This kind of dynamic. This is why you should follow Tinfoil Tom on Twitch.
The mods bully me, and then I bully them back.
That's
dynamic.
Wording, such as the main bad guy of the Second Big War unalived himself when he lost. And this becomes a lot harder for channels that cover recent awful individuals that commit acts like, and even,
can't even mention the words.
The person being
Can't even say
covered,
it.
if still out there, has an easier time taking down the video.
Hey, thanks,
even
Stylo.
if it has evidence.
Stylo is good peoples to have around.
It's not end up in court when covering the story.
It is very unfortunate that as the clock ticks and YouTube grows older, exchanging from hand to hand, they continue to suppress these same.
It just keeps showing Susan whenever they're talking about something like awful with YouTube. They're like, let's throw up another picture of Susan.
It's certainly conditioning me. Not that I wasn't already.
But for real, it's like that's smart of. I think it's smart of Max. I know that we're vilifying her for good reason, and I think it's smart of Max to kind of pick these clips that like show videos that are showing her. While also showing that, I'm sure that there's larger problems at YouTube, but she's a big problem there.
Posture check. I got a good posture. I got my piano playing posture right now. I'm like literally sitting like back perfectly straight. That's just kind of how I don't always do it. I've gotten a little worse, but I typically do just sit like this because I'm also in front of my keyboard, like my piano keyboard, and it's just like still hammered into me after 13 years of piano lessons to just sit this way when you're playing piano. Like you want to have good posture when you're playing piano. And that's just kind of how I am here too. Also because my keyboard is like way out here, like my typing keyboard. Anyway, Prox is a good dude too. By the way, Tom, have you seen Prox's conspiracy video about Raising Cane's chicken?
No.
It's got
let me follow Prox.
Yeah,
so I can check it out later.
It's Prox is Frisky, or maybe it's just Prox now. I don't know, but he has a specific video. It's Prox Canes. It's got a lot of people that are fans of us have not seen this actually.
What is Prox's channel's name?
It's Prox is Frisky. Prox is Frisky. Here it is. Okay, it's now just Prox, but if you type in Prox is Frisky, that'll be. So Raising Cane's chicken is not what it seems. This stars Nexpo, Mama Max, Mudahar, Nick Crowley, NightDocs, J-Bost, Aiden Elliott from The Sun Vanished. It's got Aiden Elliott. Yeah, it's got a few other people. Some really huge creators, and it's only got about 3,000 views here. So yeah, if you sub, tell them NightDocs sent you. We're gonna watch this
what
next.
I was saying about I had Jamie in a recent video, and Jamie like promoted it. It's like YouTube's not recommending it. And I was like,
Yeah.
dang.
I will back you up on that, Teak. Aiden Elliott is legitimately one of the sweetest dudes. Like, he's such a good guy. Like, I love talking to Aiden. Like, he and I will just talk about music for hours, because Aiden, like me, he does all of his own music and stuff, and he's a great composer. We geek out about music stuff all the time.
He's a really nice guy.
Oh yeah,
talking to him a few times.
All right. Anyway, back to the video.
It's very unfortunate that as the clock ticks and YouTube grows older, exchanging from hand to hand, they continue to suppress these same creators that helped legitimize their website in the first place.
Of course.
While they let corporations run around and do whatever they want. As
Of course,
time goes
Venedin.
on, Team YouTube ceases to surprise with their pompous, unapologetic, hypocritical attitude. In the direction we're heading now, it becomes clear with each passing terrible update, unfair strike, and sketchy termination that this website in the eyes of Team YouTube has nothing to do with creativity.
Surprised she's not just like
independent
counting
creators,
money in every
and
video.
especially
Right.
you.
Prox is kind of one of the biggest helps for Max, honestly. Prox helps Max with just about every single video that Mama Max does. He's helped with a bunch of mine. He's been just this kind of quiet behind the scenes sort of guy, but like, he's got his own channel, and the stuff that he's been making is really good, but he doesn't release very often, and it doesn't get a lot of promotion and all that, but he's friends with all of us. Like, he's such a good dude. Like, he's Prox is such a good dude.
It's such a bummer that like the video only has 3,000 views, but he's got a lot of people in it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's not the way that the way that YouTube used to work is if you did a collab with, these are massive YouTubers.
Yeah.
And it's got 3,000 views, and it came out 6 months ago.
Yeah. Honestly, even though I've been in a ton of Nexpo videos, but none of them ever really moved the needle for me. Like, ever.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever. The only collab that I've ever done that actually moved the needle for me was the one I did with that chapter on his channel. We did a case that I had actually already done most of the research for, and I actually got an interview with the private investigators on it. It was a crazy case about this kid that was probably murdered by the police, and they tried to cover it up. And anyway, but yeah, I was at like 1,600 subs at the time, and then the next day after that came out, I was at like 4,000.
Yeah, that's a big.
That was a huge day. That was a huge day for me. I couldn't believe it. I was like hoping that something would happen or whatever, but I didn't expect that much of a bump. But anyway,
that's the whole thing with YouTube is like, it just doesn't. It never
makes sense. It never makes
any sense.
Anyway, so this is the last segment here. New scene shitstorm. This is where shit gets real.
That's a really good idea, Dave.
I could not agree more, my friends.
I could not disagree more, Coffee Dave, because
no, that's a great video. I would watch that.
Okay, but like a duel of the skates. But just as proof, we talked about this earlier. Here's my analytics. I just released a really high effort video the other day, and it is 10 out of 10. I have 7,000 views on what I felt was actually, I really thought, I try not to get my hopes up or anything, but I actually really thought this one was going to do well because it's North Korea. That's like a topic everybody's fascinated with. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the last section of the video here.
I could not agree more, my friends. But I'm worried that all of your wise words will go to waste if no one sees this. So let's all go ahead and forcefully drag everyone down with us. Starting with the following people. Susan Wojcicki. Stop fucking lying to us every time you have to give a statement in response to videos like mine. All these broken promises you've made that never come into fruition. All of these incessant changes that no one ever asked for or wanted. Take some goddamn accountability. We are so sick of seeing the malicious, deceitful words your company repeatedly propagate.
Lol sauce.
Either do something good for this site once in your fruitless life,
Woo!
or step the fuck down.
Step the fuck down.
Philip DeFranco. Remember when you and your team ignored us?
Philip DeFranco is a corporate plant, man. He basically works for fucking YouTube.
Oh yeah, I have my other. It's like he's a paid actor. I think at one point in his career, I think Philip DeFranco was an independent, whatever commentating channel, but I think that they wheeled the dump truck full of money up to his house. They said that they were going to promote him for the last few years or whatever, however long he's been kind of at the top of this mountain. And I think he sold, essentially, he was already kind of sold out, but I think he totally sold out when they wheeled the money up to him.
Yep. Welcome, Coyote Dragon. I hope I said that. I'm just starting up with my YouTube channel, and this shit worries me. You should be worried. What I will tell you right now is don't keep all your eggs in one basket like I unfortunately have.
Spread it around. Yeah, spread it around. I think it's, and that's why I want to say before we finish this, I think it's smart that, I know it can be disheartening because I don't have a ton of viewers on Twitch. I usually have 10 to 20 maybe, but YouTube is way too they're all unstable. All of these platforms are unstable.
It's getting more unstable too. I feel like I really missed the boat. If I had started my channel a year earlier, I would be obviously I would be farther along than I am now because I would have had more time to grow. But the peak time to have really started a YouTube channel, I feel, has kind of come and gone. Unless that's not entirely true, because there are some channels that are doing really well.
You just get lucky.
You just have to be. You just have to make sure you are squeaky clean. Squeaky clean. I have legitimately considered deleting half of the videos on my channel because they are hurting my quality score. And I don't know what the right move would be.
But even then, I think that I honestly think that I think once you're on the YouTube
shit list,
I think the only move that you have, I think, is starting a new channel.
And that's why I started NightTalks, but I haven't really been doing much with it. So anyway, so Philip DeFranco, corporate plant.
Yep.
Sold out. I know I'm not as famous as you would like, but how about you do the right thing this time and fucking say something? I know you're on break, so it would mean even more to me for you to actually do something this time around. Ethan Klein. I was told you talked to someone at YouTube for me last time. Thank you so much for
Ethan Klein, what a fucking nightmare!
That you take a minute to speak to YouTube again for me. Privately is fine.
I'm like totally indifferent on Ethan Klein.
I'd
phone me back if you want details. Keemstar. You are always my fucking man when it comes to this shit.
I try not to have strong opinions. I just can't help it sometimes.
I know you won't let me down.
Yeah.
Scarce. Thanks so much for
At least he's making a stand here. That's something I could say about Keemstar. I don't really like Keemstar, but at least he's making a stand.
Stylo, you're so sweet. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Last time, brother, I desperately call upon you for help once again. It would mean the world to me. Charlie, I look up to you.
Charlie really, ooh boy, I'm mad at Charlie. We're gonna watch my video on this subject next, where we're talking about Charlie and Markiplier and stuff like that. But like, as soon as that hashtag answer us YouTube thing, that was a critical moment where I really strongly feel like we had a chance to make some headway for all creators. But literally, as soon as Charlie got what Charlie wanted, which was one of his million different garbage throwaway videos, as soon as he got that one little video reinstated, he was like, I'm fine now. I'm done talking about all that other stuff. When he was at the forefront and basically rallying us all to go up to YouTube and really make a big difference. And as soon as he got what he specifically wanted, he was done.
Yeah.
In that one thing. And he could have, he really could have just taken it just 2 steps further and said, okay, you got that video back, but it still doesn't address the root problem on YouTube.
I think unfortunately he's at the top of he's like at the top of YouTube mountain. So I think
he is.
It's like
he doesn't care.
He got what he wanted, then he was like, I'm good. I'm back.
Exactly. Yeah. And I get it. You don't want to rock the boat when you're that successful and all that. You don't really want to rock the boat too much. He's got a lot to lose. He's got a lot to lose. I have no hate in my heart really against Charlie, but I was pretty mad about, and I'm still kind of irritated about that one thing. And I actually tried to get Charlie's attention, and I know I have a specific friend that I know reached out to him, and he just wouldn't talk to me at all about that, about the document that I linked earlier. But I just, whatever. Let's just move on.
You stand up for what's right and speak out in defense of all of us smaller than you. but it is my regret to inform you that your video talking with the CEO of YouTube has aged like milk. So I'm going to kindly ask for your help once again, Chris Hansen.
I'll be very surprised if Charlie lifts a finger.
Not to talk to you.
Honestly, and this is my honest opinion about a creator like Charlie, I don't have a problem with Charlie. I think that I watch their Twitch streams every once in a while. I watch if they cover a topic I think is interesting, I'll check it out. However, I do think that it's kind of like what you're saying, that Charlie has a lot to lose. And I think that he's only gotten more popular. So I honestly think that the only way Charlie will do something is that if it benefits his channel.
Right. Yeah, Charlie hasn't tweeted anything since Christmas. That's just whatever. I was just looking to see if he had tweeted or engaged with anything. He might be on break. He might not even be paying attention to the YouTube sphere at all right now.
He's at that he's at the top of the mountain territory.
Yeah.
Now, so
although he has released videos in the last few days and stuff. He's not completely off the grid, but he might have done these a few days before he went on break.
And
so
Stylo, I agree with you. I do think that Chris Hansen will Chris Hansen, trust me, Chris Hansen has done a lot of messed up stuff, but Chris Hansen is an opportunist.
Yeah.
So I think Chris Hansen, being Chris Hansen, just being an opportunist, I think he will see that this is a trending hashtag and he'll go, I'm Chris Hansen, and he'll make I do think he might do something on it.
I will be pleasant. I will pleasantly eat my humble pie if I am proven wrong, but I highly doubt Chris Hansen will see the opportunity. I highly doubt he will care, and I highly doubt he will do anything. I really don't think this is in his wheelhouse, and he has people that tend to his analytics for him, and he doesn't give a shit.
I give it a 50-50. I give it a 50-50 with Hansen. I think I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Whoops.
Although you screwed the fucking pooch, I'm willing to forgive you if you speak up for us. I know you've got some connections that Susan can't ignore. I tried reaching out to you, but you ignored me. So now my audience will do it for me. Shane Dawson, I know you've done a lot of fucked up shit in the past and you don't really deserve everyone's forgiveness. But since you were one of the biggest creators in our genre, standing up for what's right instead of wasting time on haunted houses would finally make you look good to the public once again.
Nope. This is my only pick that I'm like, Max, why'd you say make him look bad?
I think at the end of the day, I think this just shows Max's desperation, really. It is an act of desperation. He doesn't care. He put in allegedly a Nazi at the front of his little segment thing there. He's just trying to cast as wide of a net as he possibly can, because whether or not he aligns with somebody like Shane Dawson, he still has an audience. He still has influence, and he sees this as an opportunity for him to kind of atone. And he's still, even if he's not taken seriously, he still has, for better or for worse, he has an audience still. He has reach.
Exactly. Stylo is saying that. I agree. Yeah. It seems like it's sad because I like Max's video, and I don't know him like you do, but Max seems like a nice enough guy.
Max is the sweetest dude you could ever meet. He really is.
It kind of is upsetting that, like, I understand what Max is doing here because YouTube is suffocating his videos. It won't promote this on his own. So he's reaching out to people like Shane Dawson kind of to be like, oh, hey, help get this message out here because you're popular on the platform. And that's crummy.
By the way, Max, if you end up watching this VOD at all, I fucking love this shot. I just fucking love this shot, dude. This is so good.
Where did you get that? Is that him?
Yeah, it's him. I'm pretty sure that's him. That looks like he did it at Galveston or something.
Corpse.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know you have nothing to do with this, but with all of your power, influence, and the favor you owe me.
Oh, that's dark.
I will just say, Jim, really quick, is that I think for Corpse has to do this because of how annoying the Corpse fan base is.
Yeah.
That's why Corpse has to do this.
That would be huge if Corpse got involved, yeah.
Corpse's fan base is the most annoying in the world.
Corpse as a person, I'm not gonna say anything. No, I'm not gonna say nothing. Yeah,
I'll say it. I'll say it because I
had somebody literally. Nah, we're just gonna move on.
We'll just move on.
Yeah. I remember when you reached out after years of not speaking to me while I was was at the hospital tending to my sick girlfriend, and you kept trying to rush me home to do you a huge favor, and then you threw me under the bus for something you did, and at the same time acted like you were taking full responsibility for it. But
he's like a master manipulator.
I thought you were going to be my friend like you used to be. And
well, just look at his persona. His whole persona is, feel bad for me, I'm the goth man, feel bad for me, I'm misunderstood.
You do me the fucking favor this time and talk about something besides yourself for once. It will give you a good look. I promise. Oh yes. If I have to start shit with every influencer in this goddamn...
I kind of want to pause on each of these just to see who all he threw in here.
So be it.
I saw Markiplier in there.
I'd rather have the whole world hate me than ever hear a child.
Ryan's World? Oh yeah, that. Oh fuck, who's that? The influencer guy. I can't remember his name. Wait,
I don't know. Oh, is that Lele Pons?
Yeah.
Also,
Markiplier. Who's the guy on the? Oh, that's Rainbot.
Yeah. I got Markiplier.
Mr. Beast. Oh, who's that guy on the left? Ah, fuck. Squirrels. That's not ContraPoints. Philosophy Tube. People versus food. No. Woo!
Pokimane is on there. Ninja.
Nightmind. Hold on. I'm just gonna like.
The Rock. I saw the Rock on there.
Hold on. I'm just gonna start this part over. I'm gonna watch this at 0.25 speed.
So for once, we'll give you a good look.
All right, let's do this at 0.25 speed. Let's just see who we can catch in here.
I didn't know about this.
Oh yeah, Nightmind jumped on board. Nightmind's a good dude. Nightmind's a good dude.
Yeah, Nightmind is really nice.
Yeah.
I will say I didn't know about this personal thing between Max and Corpse, but it doesn't.
I didn't know about it either. I really didn't.
It just makes me so I don't have an opinion about Corpse one way or another, and I'll put it out there. I don't really have an opinion. I don't really like the music. I don't really get it, but I'm also old. So,
yeah, I'm not a fan. Like the music's all the same. Every song he's put out is the same one.
It is, and it's always like e-boy, e-girl, like whatever. I don't get it, but I'm old now, so I don't understand it. But good that he's like got fame or whatever, but I don't get it. I don't understand it.
He had fucking, oh my god, oh fuck, god, why can't I think of his name? The Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. God, what's his name? Crowder. Steven Crowder. He had Steven Crowder on there a second ago.
Oh, dang.
I'm just looking through. He's got Vosh. Jim Can't Swim. Jeez.
He just put he just cast the net out there. He put everybody on there.
I'm just seeing like who all he. Oh, there's a couple of. Yeah, he's actually just cycling through.
The angry video game nerd was on. The AVGN's not going to say anything. The AVGN is trying to.
Wait, he put Inside a Mind on there, and he's in this.
I think he just put put like every people that were in the video. I think he just put every popular YouTuber on there.
Give me 1 second. I just got to take a quick potty break. I'm doing the rain dance over here. So I'm just going to play the rest of this video.
Again, if anyone wants to react to this video, my content is free for you to make as much money off of it in whatever way you wish. I do not give a shit. Bad press, good press.
Horror Max,
I just
everybody.
Want to finally see some justice done for the victims in my videos.
Hopefully this video does well. Hopefully this does well and this movement goes well. It would be nice if YouTube was actually held accountable.
Because you never do anything until we start squeezing your balls. And this is the part where you come in, children. The links are in the description. I kindly ask you to come with me to make a fucking mess for the second time. I want you to pace this bitch until the world is nauseous from looking at it. I want you to drown out every trending topic so that even something like Spider-Man
exactly, Stylo. I think this is a good start.
Of dust compared to us.
And for anybody who's wondering who I am, if you're in NightDocs' chat, I'm Tinfoil Tom. I was one of the writers on the Dad series, and I'm a streamer, and I make videos. Hello.
Yeah. Tinfoil Tom's the man. Have you ever had to pee so bad that, like, when you're done, you're just like, you feel like you gotta recover?
Oh yeah. I've told this story on my chat before, but I peed my pants a few years ago, actually.
Oh no!
Have I ever told you this story?
Tell me the you peed your pants story.
These are the great stories that you hear on my stream, everybody. This was when I was working for this big coffee company, and we went out for a company dinner, and I don't drink, but everybody got very drunk, and I didn't. I just drank like water and whatever. And I was like, I kind of have to use the bathroom, but not really. I was like, I can wait. And then they all were taking it because they all came from out of town. These were like the company people coming from out of town, and I was like hosting them. And they drove me there, and I was in their Uber. And this was like downtown at a fancy restaurant and all that stuff. And so they all left in their own Uber, and I was like, I'm going home. You guys are going back to your hotel. I'll get my own Uber. But then as they drove away, I realized I didn't have cell coverage. So I had to walk like 5 minutes down the street to get cell coverage. And by the time I got there, like 5 minutes down the street, I had to really pee. So I was like, I'm like, I better go back to the restaurant. I was like, I really have to pee. And I started walking back to the restaurant, and no joke, I was within like 100 yards of the restaurant, and I just started peeing. And I was like, and when you
you couldn't just like, even if like it just kind of happened, you couldn't like just close it off. And
it was to the point of like super pee emergency. And once I started peeing, I couldn't like, and I no joke, I said this out loud. There were people like eating outside, and I went, oh no. And I said that audibly. I was like, oh no. And I couldn't stop myself because I had to pee so bad. And then I didn't know what to do because I had to walk, like it was like 2 miles to get home or whatever. And then, no joke, as soon as I finished peeing, it started raining. So then, because I couldn't take an Uber because I was covered in pee, I had to walk home in the rain covered in pee.
How long ago was this? Like last week?
Like 4 years ago.
Oh shit, dude. So I hold on. Yeah. We got a comment here from Marshmallow Maladroid. Says you can't just close off your pee. I can. On command.
You could close it off if you were to pee a little bit, but if you have a fire hose, you can't do it.
You couldn't just find a bush.
No, because it was like it was in like an area with all these like outdoor restaurant like seating things, and I was like. There was no, and I was in like desperation mode. Like,
see, before I get to that point, like I know, like when I'm past the point of no return, I think I can't say I've peed my pants since I was much younger, but I feel like I know kind of the point of no return, and so like I wouldn't have been able to walk to wherever you were. I would have at least taken some kind of detour and formulating a plan in my mind. Okay, that dumpster over there, I think I can make it to that and make it happen or whatever, and just be real stealthy.
I had no plan, and now all this is showing me is that this was a learning opportunity for me. So this is showing me that even if I only have to go to the bathroom, I will always go to the bathroom now. It doesn't even matter. Even if I don't have to go to the bathroom, somebody's like, hey, I'm going to hit the bathroom really quick before we get out of here. I will go, that's a good idea. Even if I can only squeeze out a couple drops of pee, I will say, okay, yeah, sure. I will also use the bathroom because I never know anymore. So I will not, even on the RV trip, I will not urinate in my pants. I can't guarantee that, but I will probably not urinate in my pants.
Okay. All right, so you were extremely brave, Tom, in telling that story. And in solidarity, I will tell you the last time that I shit my pants.
Okay.
If you want to hear the story.
Let's go.
Okay. I think I had just turned 19. I was 18 or 19. And so when I was younger, it's still kind of the same way, but like, thing is, I love beef, like steak and burgers and stuff like that. But for the longest time, like it would just do a number on me. Like I would just get so sick and all that. Like I'd have to plan around it and shit. And so I was with like my buddy Art back when I was like 19. I think I was 18 or 19. And I had just gotten this truck, and shoot, I guess I was 17 actually then, because I think that truck, I think I totaled that truck when I was like 18. I don't know. Either way, I was
old.
older.
At least you weren't like 32 years old.
Right. What I'm saying is I was at least old enough to have had the faculties to control myself. We pull up. I knew I had to go bad. And Art was in the front seat of my truck, and we pull up to my house, and I couldn't make it inside. And I was like, I was doing that thing where you try and sit strategically to kind of keep it all in. And I didn't make it. And I was like, Art, I need you to go get my dad. And so Art was like, wait, why? Because I hadn't told him what my issue was. I was like, please just go inside and get my dad. He was like all confused. Like, and I think I was like, get in your car and go home. It was super ominous. One of my best friends. I just went deadly serious. Like deadly serious. I was like, I need you to get my dad. And I need you to go home. I need you to get in your car and drive away. And so like my dad, not knowing a thing what just happened, had to come out with a towel or something. And I don't even remember. It was so long ago. But yeah, in solidarity, that was the last time I shit my pants. That was
at least. So I have a funny poop pants story. This wasn't me. But
how did we come to this?
Because this is every conversation with me. It goes from like conspiracy to politics to somebody pooping in their pants. That's every conversation with me. My friend Mike, we were in high school, and we were walking back from a pizza place because I lived like not super far, maybe like a half mile from this pizza place. And we were walking back. Hey, Bully's in the chat. Bully, hello. We were walking back from this pizza place. Me and my friend Mike. I won't say his last name because I don't want to dox him. And we were walking back from this pizza place, and he kept saying, I really have to poop. And I was like, don't poop your pants. And then I kind of messed with him a little bit by being like, don't poop your pants, don't do it. And he was like, stop talking about it. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. And I kept being like, don't do it, don't do it.
You're such a bastard.
And then he just made a noise, and he was wearing shorts. I'll never forget it. He was wearing shorts. And it was just this noise he made. He went, and then this.
Okay, hold on. Go ahead. Finish your story.
And then we ended up walking back to my house, and then his mom was like coming to bring him a change of clothes because he's like, can you please bring me a change of clothes? But I didn't want to let him in my house because he was covered in poop. So he went down to his underwear, and I hosed him off for. I've never seen somebody. He looked so sad. Because he was just like against the wall of my house, and I was spraying him poop off.
My God.
I was just spraying him with the hose so bad. And then his mom showed up while I was hosing him off.
That poor man. You must have felt terrible too, because you had no idea. And
I didn't know he was gonna have like explosive diarrhea from like the pizza place.
Holy shit, dude. That is wild as hell, dude. That's intense. I feel so bad for the guy. Oh man, I hope he doesn't see this VOD because I don't want him to know that I was laughing at him.
F's in the chat for Mike's underwear.
Yeah.
Everybody.
F. Mike's underwear. Rip.
Or Mike.
Craig, man, I love your laugh. It sounds like those squeaky ducks. I do have kind of I do kind of tend to overdo it with my laugh here. So I'm thinking I might want to show you guys this video that I did about it was called YouTube is Broken. Here's how to fix it. It was